Hey everybody, Chelsea here. Today I wanted to talk to you about December albums. So I've made about 6 December daily or documenting December style albums over the last few years. And I just wanted to share them with you and then talk about what I'm going to be doing this year. And I also have an invitation for you guys to join me. So I'm going to talk about what I'm going to be using and what I'm doing this year. So these were my initial albums, and kind of the idea that I have followed behind it is just documenting what you do every day in December. There's other approaches to use. You can tell stories from your childhood, talk about favorite traditions, special Christmas stories. I like to document what we're doing every day in December, and because it changes over the years. So this is the 2015. I realized going back through these that I've been really poor at labeling what year they are. So some of them I'm not sure what year. I'd have to do a little bit of investigating. So this was one that I designed myself, and it has some more like interactive things, pockets, little like flip ups, things like that, all different size pages. And then I bound it with a cinch machine because I actually made the book myself, and I believe I did a class for this one. I've done classes a few years for December albums. This one here is a pocket. You can see there's lots of talk about like what classes and scrapbooking events and stuff like that, because that's usually a big part of my life. And I love that photo. It's so pretty. But this is a fun little album where you can really interact with everything and, you know, have little pockets and flip outs and lots of room for journaling. This one where you just kind of put your photos right in there. I always like to document what kind of Christmas decorations I have, especially since we've moved. That has definitely changed from what I used to do. Some of you might even recognize pictures of yourselves in here. So that just gives you kind of an idea of one of the styles that I have done. Another one was this one, which I believe I did not make the base of the book. The base was already made, but I did decorate it. And this also has little flip ups. It's always interesting to see like gas prices and things like that too. That might not be something you think about documenting in your December album. We got a tag here with journaling on it. And a lot of times I have numbered the days. So yeah, this year it's probably going to look a little bit different for Christmas for a lot of people. So you might think, oh, well, it's not really worth documenting this year. But I think it is, because it's something to remember, right? Hopefully it won't be like this forever. Apparently this year I was really obsessed with gas prices. I'm not sure why. I'd have to read the journaling and see what's going on. Sorry for the thumping. That's my little miniature dachshund running around. He just got his little burst of energy. So this is kind of what this album looks like. Got a new car during this Christmas. Oh, we went to Disney that Christmas. So yeah, very cool. Really fun to look back and see the different Decembers and what has happened and where we were and even what house we were living in and all those things. And if you think, well, my December's not going to be that interesting, it's a good time to reflect and look back on things that maybe you did with your kids when they were little, or you did when you were little. There's this flip out here. So yeah, that gives you another look at a different style. Those two are a little bit similar with all the flips, and it's very interactive. This one was a Heidi Swap little book that I used. So it came with all these like shaped pages and stuff already in there. This was 2012. So I think this was the first December album I ever did. And I noticed I was flipping through this and there's some spots where I did not add any journaling. Like I left room for journaling and I didn't add any, which is really sad because there's no way I can go back now and add journaling because I don't really remember what, you know, what happened and why certain things were special, why I put them in here. So I love these pages and the way they work. With all the different sizes and the little folders and things like that. But yeah, I'm really sad that I didn't do any journaling. And it's funny, I look back on this and this was maybe one of the last Christmases where all my grandparents were there. So I'm really glad I got that photo. And that was also before there was any kids. So it was all just adults. This one I have like a little waterfall and still room for journaling, but I did not add any. Ugh, I kick myself. So if you tend to not add journaling, I encourage you, add even just a little bit. You know, who was there? What was special? What was different? Oh, that's how old my Keurig is. That's something I want to do this year. I do want to take pictures of our gifts and things. And of course, for those of you who know, it is our daughter's first Christmas. So I definitely plan on documenting that. Then for the last 3 or so years, I have documented using 6x8 albums. This was 2016. So yay, I added a number there. And this is more, there are some like pages, but there's also the protectors as well. So this is a little bit less interactive, but definitely way more journaling, which I love. Little screenshots about the weather and the forecast, work and holidays. At this point, my grandma was in a lodge and my grandpa had passed away. So it's things always change. Even if you think there's not, you know, anything special or interesting going on, things always change. So yes, this is kind of more the style that I've been doing the last few years. Yeah, and this one you can see I just went up to the 25th. I have, I think, 1 or 2 where I went right to the end of the year. So this one was 2018, and I'm using the Close to My Heart 6x8 albums. They're really nice albums. So same thing, numbering my days. Close to My Heart has had like little workshop kits in the past few years to make these albums, so I didn't even have to do any like thinking about where everything was going. I just kind of followed the patterns. And usually what I like to do is I don't really do too much ahead. I kind of decide what product I'm using, get that all sorted out. And then as the month goes on, I make notes in my phone. And if I'm putting my pieces, if I'm going to make my album into like a design that was already pre-designed like this one was, then I also make notes in my phone for like what day and what orientation the photos need to be, so that as I'm taking photos every day, I keep track of that. I also make little notes about like stories of things that happened that day, that kind of stuff. So this one I did take past the 25th. So that's totally personal preference, right? What you want to do. I went up to the 31st. So there's that one. So this one was the first time that I had the heat transfer vinyl. So this is all vinyl. Maybe you can see, yeah. So it got black glitter, silver glitter, and then just white. And that was an SVG file, I think, from Close to My Heart. And so I cut out, we carry that vinyl, and then I use a heat press. You can also use an iron to apply this. And I think I'd almost like to go back to my couple of other 6x8 albums and add things to the covers, and maybe even like a year to the spine might be cool. So this was last year's. And same thing, Close to My Heart had a kit, so I just followed the pattern that was there. So this one, I don't think has anything that's not in page protectors. It is all in page protectors. And then of course you can add flip flaps, which is super nice to add even more photos, because usually I find I have more photos than space or more story than space. Just depends on what's going on. I try and get myself in pictures as well, capture things that are going on, current events, what I'm working on, all those kinds of things, as well as traditions. And yeah, so that was last year's album, and that one went to the 31st as well. I have not decided for this year what I want to do, if I'm just going to go to the 25th. I guess we'll have to see. But I want to show you now what I'm doing for this year. So I'm going to be using the Jingle Joy collection, which is a current Close to My Heart collection. I wasn't too sure when I saw the pinks in with the greens. It's a little bit different color scheme. But then I thought, it's Isabella's first Christmas. There's probably going to be some pink in the photos. This side has hearts. This one has Christmas lights, and then a nice little small plaid on the back, and then a nice bold stripe, and a polka dot. Very versatile patterns. And then I'm also going to be using the Picture My Life cards, because I am going to use a 6x8 album again. So I'll give you a quick flip through. These are printed on the back side, and usually the back side is like a different variation. And if it's landscape this way, then it will be portrait the other way on the other side. So I'll just give you a quick flip through so you can see these are all the 3x4s. And I'm also thinking I'm going to also probably do some Cricut cuts and do a few things outside the page protector, and some stamping and stuff as well in this book. I have a few ideas of what I want to do. But what I'm going to be doing all through December, I'm just going to be making notes. I'm not working ahead and like making foundation pages or like getting stuff scrapped ahead. I'm really just going to kind of journal everything through the month, and then I will compile it at the end of the month. Okay, so what I'm using, I have a black Everyday Life 6x8 album. So I'm going to be using that, and I do want to do something on the cover and maybe the spine as well with the vinyl. I have 6x8 page protectors. I have the 4x6 version of those page protectors and the 3x4, just because I want the versatility. I also have some 3x4 flip flaps, and I have 4x6 flip flaps in my stash too in case I need those. I have the coordinating cardstock so that I have colors that match, so I can do some things with solids and matting and things like that. And then I also have the Jingle Joy die cuts, which look like that. And I have this stamp set, Oh What Fun. It's a retired one, but I thought it matched the whole feel of this collection really well. There is a current set that has a nice Santa in it and that matches this collection exactly. So you could use that as well. And then I just had to. Gnomes have been such a big thing this year. So what I want to do is use some of these gnomes, color them up using my tri-blend markers or my Copic markers, depending on what colors I need. And I'm thinking I'm going to use them with the numbers. So I want to use like number die cuts for some of the days and cut them out of like silver glitter paper to match the collection, and then have the gnomes with the numbers. I also have this set. This is still on the website in the online only section, the Holly Jolly scrapbooking, but it has all the numbers. I used this last year, I think, and it has die cuts as well that fit the numbers. That's all the product I've pulled so far. But like I said, I'm probably also going to do some Cricut cuts. I want to maybe do some things outside of the page protector. We'll see how it goes. This is kind of just a general idea of what I want to use and what I'm going to be doing. So last part, I want to invite you guys to join me. So my challenge to you is through the month of December, take photos every day, keep notes. If you don't want to do like a daily project like I'm doing, you can also just, you know, take pictures of your favorite traditions, or look back in your stash and look for photos from past Decembers of stories you want to tell about, you know, favorite memories, favorite traditions, those kinds of things. Maybe a favorite trip you took at Christmas. So you can kind of go whichever direction you want with it. You could even combine those things. You could do some days that are like current times, and then you could choose other days and do stories from the past. I have also before, because usually we put our tree up at the end of November, so I will still take tree pictures and put them in my album even though they didn't happen on that exact day. I am not like sold to a particular day, so if something happened on December 3rd, but it fits better if I put it on December 5th, I will do that, because when you're looking back, you really can't tell. So that's my challenge to you guys, to keep notes, take photos during December. And then I think it's going to be January 2nd. I'm going to do a Zoom, and it's just going to be like a free sort of all-day event on Zoom where you can come and make your album with me. So if you're in my VIP club, you know that we do Zooms a couple times a month, and I have the camera looking at me so that we can like visit and talk back and forth. And then also I have my phone, which is what I'm filming on now, pointing down at my Surface so you can see what I'm making while we're talking and visiting and working on projects. So, and if you don't want to be on camera, you can always just turn your video off, have your audio on, just talk along with us, or just silently craft. That is fine too if you don't want to interact. But if you want to take part in that, please send me an email at chelseavarosmarty@gmail.com, and I will add you to the list so that when I'm ready to send out the Zoom link, you will get that in an email so that you can come join me on January 2nd. It's probably going to be kind of segments throughout the day, just because I have then will be almost 7-month-old baby, and I'll probably still be nursing, so I'll need to take breaks throughout the day and, you know, take a lunch break and all those kinds of things. But my idea is to kind of like craft for a couple of hours, take a break, come back, craft for a couple more hours, that kind of thing. And I might just leave the Zoom going, so then if you guys want to just hang out in there and keep going, you can talk amongst yourselves and visit and craft. But I will be working on this album. I'm not going to have a handout for everybody, like cut all these pieces this size. I'm more just going to make it live that day, put things in pockets. I'm going to have my photos printed so that they're ready to go. I'll probably send out an email beforehand if I do any extra work, like if I cut things on my Cricut and I have a Design Space file for you, or if I figured out exactly what size photos I'm using for each day. But it's really just to set time aside so that we can all get together and all work on our albums, so that it's like has a deadline, right? Because sometimes with these sorts of projects, if you don't set time aside where you're like, okay, this is the day that I'm going to make this, it just doesn't happen, right? So I hope you guys will join me. I love working on December albums. I love looking back at them. I actually store them in with my Christmas decor. So then when I pull out all the Christmas decorations, I get to go back and look at all my Christmas albums, and they sit out on my coffee table for the month of December, and then they get packed back up with all the Christmas decorations until next year. And it's just fun to look at how things have changed even over these 6 years that I've been documenting Christmases. And I just find they get looked at more than if they're just sitting in a large 12 by 12 album. I also wanted to mention to you guys, if you're looking for a kit that's all put together with directions, Close to My Heart is offering a 6x6 album with the Jingle Joy paper. It's a beautiful little album. There's a full workshop for it. and workshop kits on my website, which you could definitely use. I'm just not using it this year because it's Isabella's first Christmas and I know I'm going to want more space than a 6x6. But if you think that might be something you're interested in, I will leave a link for that as well so you can check that out. So I hope you will join me. Please email me if you would like to be on that list. And yeah, I hope to see you soon. Bye.